Okay, we've got Indiana taking on Michigan. And of course, as you know, Indiana announced as the bowl opponent for the University of Utah. And there's a couple things that I want to take a look at. We're going to start with their right offensive tackle. He is their best football player on the team. He's a two-time All-American, and he is a brawler for the most part. He can be a pretty nasty player. And I'll just show you here. Just good step, good set, good hands off the backside of this play. Kind of releases a little bit early. And Indiana's pumped this guy up. And like I said, two-time All-American. But right here, I want to show you, and of course, this is against Michigan. Uh, Probably, one of the better games that they played. Obviously, they lost to Michigan, but they played a pretty good game. You're going to see right here, he takes the jab at the inside down lineman. Linebacker comes off in a blitz, and he tries to hook him and gives up the pressure. So he's good, but he's not unbeatable. And I was reading all of his stats today, and I've been going through film of him, just kind of interested in him because he's one of the top NFL prospects too. And it's kind of funny that one of the first plays I come up against watching film on him was this one against Michigan. That's a tough play to get your hand on the down lineman, but and Michigan's good at that outside blitz, but obviously missed a big time block right there. This is probably Indiana's second best player on the entire team, and he is a second team All American. And I was looking up his numbers. He's got really good numbers. Leads the nation in solo tackles. He also is, I believe, he's tied for fourth in the nation in TFLs. And I want to say he's got 20 and a half TFLs. Um, he does pretty good in flow situations. You're going to see Michigan gets up to the second line. Pretty good on him. Gets a good hand on him, a good shove. He does bounce deep off the block, but comes back upfield really well and puts a pretty good hit on the Michigan running back right there. But number 8, he is a good defensive player for Michigan. Or sorry, for Indiana. One thing I've noticed is Indiana loves to throw these dig routes, and they've got a couple of kind of smaller receivers that they'll run these crossing dig routes and these short quick dump off routes too. And you can see when you've got a lot of film on stuff like that, you're going to see how this plays really badly for wide receivers. I mean, good shot, good pop. Sometimes those result in turnovers. This quarterback for Indiana, he's just, he's decent. He's about 60% completion on the year. He's thrown 18 touchdowns to 16 interceptions. So his numbers aren't great, but he's good enough he can hurt you. He does put his receivers, this is the third time already in the first 20 minutes of watching film that I've seen him put his receivers in a bad situation. Receivers are tough. That receiver makes that grab there and gets up. So receivers are tough. Here's a 4th down and 2 situation by Michigan, and Indiana lines up in an odd man front. They keep their linebackers at a pretty decent depth for a 4th and 2. And you're going to see on the left side here, Michigan's just going to get some good down blocking. You're going to get an outside man that over pursues, and Michigan's going to break up through this hole and get the first down and plenty of more. But you see outside control comes up, and these guys need to keep good position. But this guy is going to get himself too far upfield, not be able to come down and collapse that gap, and gives up a big play. And, Michigan's getting some good movement here, good hit, good movement. So you can move on the interior. There's your second team All-American Indiana linebacker that's getting moved out of there. And missed tackle by Indiana, a recurring theme that I see from Indiana is missed tackles. Good hard running makes a big difference. So you should be able to see some of that from Utah. And Michigan just gets out of the gates and takes it down to about the 15-yard line on that 4th and 2. Michigan was really able to run on Indiana's defense, and here you're going to see Indiana in an even man front. You've got a one technique, and this one technique's a pretty good player. Number 74 is a pretty dang good player. Plays low pad level and does a really good job of getting in the gap, pressing out his guy, and he's in really good position to make this play here. This running back's just going to come down through the A gap, kind of follow his center through here, and you're going to see he does a really good job, presses him out, goes to make the tackle, and that is a lot of jersey being held there. But still, running back is able to get through the gap. There's your All-American linebacker for Indiana that's getting pushed down on the ground. And really good cut here. And off to the races for a touchdown on the ground. Michigan was able to run really well against Indiana. I expect with Utah's front health, the offensive line getting some time together and healing, and hopefully the health of Joe Williams and the running back situation for Utah, I would expect Utah to be able to run pretty well against Indiana. And I know that Michigan is a unique team and very powerful, very fast, but I think Utah's got some of the same characteristics in the run game when Joe is clicking and the offensive line is all on the same page. I think they should be able to move the ball on the ground against Indiana. So just another point of proof that Utah should be able to move the ball well on the ground against Indiana. This is a very, very similar set and play, only out of the shotgun that Utah loves to use. They're going to pull the guard tackle, and they're going to lead them up around the hole. They're going to flush all this defensive line down, and they're going to run a counter play really nicely off the right side. See, getting up to the second level, getting a good push, opening up that gap, and they're off to the races. That's very similar set. Was it? I think it was against UCLA that Joe Williams went for 300 and some odd yards. I can't remember who it was against, but they kept running those end rounds, G leads, counter leads, tackle ups with those athletic tackles and guards for Utah. And that run game was very dominant through the Pac-12. Should be very dominant against Indiana. There are a lot of holes that open up, especially in the counter and pull games. Indiana very sloppy on their special teams. They got 2 punts blocked. Number 91 right here isn't able to get out and get the bump on this Michigan rusher and just gets up and gets his hands on it. There was one that was partially blocked, and then this one that was a full block. Indiana's special teams pretty sloppy, especially against Michigan. One thing I'm noticing in the Michigan and the Penn State games in the film that I'm watching, they're very competitive. They're very competitive in both the Michigan game and this Penn State game, especially early on, matching score for score. And they had a small lead against Michigan. Michigan came back, obviously beat them, but their run game's solid. And a lot of it has to do with their big, All-American guy that I was telling you about. But these are all road graders. They're able to move the ball on the ground, and they do find some big time breaking run success. And there's a nice run on the ground there by Indiana for a touchdown that gives them a 14-14 shot in this game, and then Penn State gets that field goal. And here's another pick by Indiana. Pretty decent return. They do some things well, so Utah's got to show up ready to play a tough game. You see Indiana here in the pass game. They can make big plays on you. They've got some playmakers. They're 6-6, and like I said, competitive against Penn State, competitive against Michigan. They beat all the teams that they were supposed to beat. They don't. They beat the Marylands, and they beat the Purdues, and they beat the teams they're supposed to beat. So it's still a dangerous team, even though Utah should beat them, and they were only 6-6. they still do some things well. You saw that down the field pass there. You saw the breaking run against Penn State. You saw the short dig routes and quick slants that they ran against Michigan. But you also saw where they were vulnerable. I see Utah winning this game somewhere around 27-14, maybe 27-17. But Utah should control possession, should control game clock, and should have a better shot on special teams and big mistakes. Like I said, Indiana will turn the ball over. Utah's going to probably be +1 at the minimum, maybe even +2, +3 in the turnover margin, and they should beat them pretty soundly. There you go, Indiana game film.